Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
And brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports, Thoroughbred Wager and Strategies.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Nice stakes action this afternoon with the Coaching Club American Oaks, the Lake George, and plenty of great action otherwise as well. It's also opening day at Del Mar. It's Haskell Day down at Monmouth. It's a really big Saturday of action. Don't forget, Clubhouse Racebook today is open until 10 o'clock with that Del Mar card. We'll take thoroughbred action tonight as well, so keep all of that in mind. It really should be a fun Saturday. It's a great day up here at Saratoga. If you're thinking about coming to the track, today's one of those days. Coming up a little bit later on the show, we'll be joined by Jenna Antonucci. Speaking of Saratoga, picked up the Travers last year, following up the Belmont with Arcangelo. We'll talk about that and more with Jenna a little bit later on. Pat McKenna from the New York Racing Association. We'll get the NYRA look at the first few days of the Saratoga meet and looking at the meet going forward as well. But to kick things off, happy to be joined by Rob Falcone. Nice start to the meet so far. We'll hit on some of those horses as we move along, but happy to have you join us this morning to kind of kick off the Saratoga meet. As I've said, nice start to it as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
And I actually pulled up the stats going back to, because when you got into the winner's circle yesterday, I thought, maybe we'll see if we can get Rob on the show. And I looked on Equibase, and going back to the Belmont at Saratoga meet a few weeks ago, 7 starters at Saratoga itself, going back to that earlier meet, 3 wins and 3/3 out of 7 starts. Pretty nice kickoff to Saratoga 2024.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
And overall, you also have a nice record going down to Monmouth. I know last summer you had a nice Monmouth meet as well. Yeah, you have 2 strings, right? You have horses based down there.
Yeah, Monmouth string, and I have the string up here.
Do you go back and forth with any of the horses?
Well, it depends. Depends on, race conditions, stuff like that. But I would say mostly the Monmouth horses stay over there and the Saratoga ones stay here.
Okay. Always like to, for folks who, watch our show, I think because of Saratoga, we get a lot of new folks in, and I like to introduce people. So when, you look in the form or you look in the winner's circle, you can root for some of the people. And I always like to get a little bit of background. How'd you get into the game?
My dad, he owned horses before I was born. So I was going to the racetrack as soon as I was born. So I'm kind of born into it.
And so were you always kind of working on the backside?
Yes. I would say probably maybe I was 13. I started working during the summers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just went from there.
And so how long have you been out on your own?
This is going to be my 10th year.
Is it really?
Yeah, I actually started training. I started training when I was 20. So I started pretty young.
And I know early on you got some nice wins. You had Bind Your Biscuits early in the career, right?
Yes.
Malibu, right? Grade 1?
Yeah, Malibu, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Santa Anita, yep.
Nice one to have on the resume.
Yeah.
Let's hit on some of the wins you've had so far at the meet and beyond. Just recently, again, I went to Equibase, pulled up some of these. We'll look yesterday in the 7th. It was Critical Threat getting it done. Nice winner there at 6-1. Where were we at? $14. Hadn't raced since April down at Aqueduct. This was second off the claim for you guys, so this turned out to be a nice little claim because first off the claim you won, and then this one you won. It looks like, unfortunately, claimed away from you, but not bad. Claimed and then a couple of wins, so talk about Critical Threat.
Yeah, no, he was a nice horse to have in the barn, very straightforward, older horse, loves what he's doing, and, I was happy for him, too, that he got the job done yesterday as well.
And as they say, you have to be thrilled that you claimed you got a couple of wins off there.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Talk about the claiming game. How active are you guys in it?
Oh, no, we're really active in it. Yeah, really active. So we don't get we don't get $1 million horses left and right. So the way we replenish and restock is through the claiming ranks. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't work out. So but we're really active in it. So I love the claiming game.
And as I said, that one was claimed away from you, but I assume, as you've kind of alluded to already, you either have or will be active up here as well. And I sit in the press box, and the guys, the Equibase guys, after a race will kind of announce the the claims and how many, and there was a shake, and it's active
there's
up
a lot.
here.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of action, especially up here.
Yeah. If folks aren't familiar with what is the process to put in for a claim, and then if there are more than, if there's more than one claim,
Right.
Just take people through the process a little bit.
So you get a claim slip, which is called a claim slip, and you fill out the horse's name, the date, the race number, who the owner is and who the trainer is, and you write the horse's name down on it, and you go and drop it in they have a box with a slip at the top, and you drop the slips in the box. And then it depends on how many people are in there. It's called a shake. The other day, we had an 11-way shake. So they take 11 bingo balls and they put them in the bingo machine and roll it around. And when one comes out, they read off the number, and all the slips are labeled already, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they pick whatever number it is, turn it over, and that's who gets horse.
It's an extra win at the racetrack, I guess, when you come up with the shake.
Yeah, no, it
was
is.
An 11-way. There was Oaklawn a few years ago. They've kind of changed the rules, but I remember talking to Nancy Holthus down there at Oaklawn during the wintertime. We had her on the show on a Saturday morning by phone, and I think they have a 40-way shake down there.
I could see that probably. Yeah. I would say, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I've seen 30. I think that's the most I've seen.
No, it was nuclear down there, like I say, a couple of years ago, and then they juggled the rules around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's also take a look at going to Monmouth just a week or so ago. We'll look at Duchess of Destin. Duchess of Destin will be a nice winner here as the number 5 horse. This one, part of your Monmouth string, you said the Monmouth runners, this one's been working down at Monmouth, and some of them stay down there. Now, this one makes a lot of sense. I'm assuming, the game plan will be to stay at Monmouth all summer, as this one is a New York bred, or New Jersey bred.
New Jersey bred, yeah. Yeah, she ran really good that day. So it came, it was on the grass, scheduled for the grass. It came off the grass. Which obviously I'm not going to complain about. And, she ran really well that day.
Talk a little bit about that as a trainer. You had her entered in the body of the field, and you look at her record, she's mostly turf. The debut was on the dirt, and it was a 7th place finish. But I always say to people, it's hard to judge on the debut effort. The horses tend to improve as they go along. But as a trainer, how do you make the decision when a race comes off the turf?
I think it's like a group decision, so I talked to, I had Joe Bravo actually worked her a couple of times for me. So I called him and asked him, and I said, hey, it's probably going to come off. What do you think? And he was, we were kind of all in agreement, me, him, the owner, and
the works were on the dirt.
Assistant. Yeah, the works were on the dirt. Yeah. That we go ahead and take a shot. Joe liked the way she traveled over it, thought we'd get over it fine. So, it turned out that was a good decision that day.
Not bad having Jersey Joe Bravo on board.
Yeah.
Also want to go back, and because this one was certainly a lot of fun, opening day at Saratoga. It was race number 1. We're going to take a look at number 7, Empty Tomb, getting it done. Has to be nice. You get the duck off on day 1, race 1.
Yeah, no, that was great. I've had this horse now for a little bit of time, and I was more nervous someone may take a shot and claim him just because he just grew in the barn a lot. He's a very cool horse to be around. So it was exciting to finally see him, get another win, because it's been a little bit, but we've also put him in some tough spots, So he deserved the win, and it was cool to have him win and get to keep him just because he grew in our barn, a lot.
And early in the meet, I would guess there'll be something going forward for him up at the meet.
Yeah, towards the end of the meet, there'd be another one for him. Yeah.
And how did it feel, though, to pick up the win again? And I had Jose D'Angelo in here the other day, and being from another country, he said, yeah, I won here. And somebody said to me, you're off the duck. He said, I didn't know what that meant, so I wasn't quite sure whether it was good or bad. Right. I never thought of that before, but if you don't know, off the duck is like, but how did it feel day 1 to race 1?
It felt really good, especially the last couple of years here. I talked about this with a few people before last week, and I was saying how the last couple of years here, we haven't had much luck. We only won, one race last year, and it was, just the last couple of years up here have been tough. It's a tough meet, but especially when you have to consider your whole stable as one. So it's tough to, my theory behind coming up here was always try to restock. And I don't want to come up here previous years with 15 to 20. and I run in the right spots, and yeah, great, you win races, but you lose 6 or 7 horses, and you have no horses left. And then then you have to win a 10-way shake, an 8-way shake, a 5-way shake. So, you know, I didn't want to come up here and lose all my stock. And this year, we kind of claimed more so and waited out for the meet to start. So, you know, and we came up with, you know, with a lot more horses. So we kind of, I kind of switched my mindset, I would say, this year, because I used to never shoot for this meet really because of that reasoning. And then I kind of, you know, this year I was like, you know what, you know, it's probably time to, you know, everyone's up here and everyone watches Saratoga. So you got to do good. And, you know, hopefully the phone starts ringing. You pick up more horses, more clients.
Yeah, and as I say, with the record so far, going back to that Belmont and Saratoga meet, good decision so far. Yeah, congratulations there. You mentioned last year, I don't know if you'll remember this, but last year towards the end of the meet, I was walking here as I do every day to go to the front side after I do TV, and you picked me up in the cart. I always like the neighborly ride. But we were talking, I was looking up the stats there, and I think it was later in the meet, and you maybe just gotten the win. But you had a great Monmouth last summer. Really good meet down there.
Yeah, we had a really good meet at Monmouth, yeah.
So that kind of balances things out, certainly. Where were you based up here?
I'm in barn 32 on the main track.
Okay.
It's right when you come in the front gate. It's a couple barns to the left.
Yeah. For folks who aren't familiar, when you say the front gate, it's down the street from the main gate, like across from the Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And there's another entrance down there. We have an entrance by us. We're talking about, you know, Jim Bond and his horses go by all day here.
There's a lot of gates here, actually. Yeah.
So if you're working horses, you mainly work them on the main track, or you go across the street?
It kind of depends. I kind of played out. Obviously, we run on the main track, so the races are over it, and sometimes they would be quicker to seal that track if there's rain incoming. And the Oklahoma is great, and it could hold a lot of water. Yeah. So it kind of just depends on how the track services are, you know, that day. But I think both tracks are pretty good shape right now.
You ever bring horses back here?
Yes, I do actually. That is where. Well, until this year, Spirit and Glory, she trained at Clear Court every day. She was a little bit of a handful, and this year she's being really good. But that was her home, was at Clear Court.
That is the perfect segue, because I pulled up a replay. I went back to the Plenty of Grace on April 21st, and again, this was a few races back. She has subsequently finished third in the Bogey and the Eatontown. We're going to look at Plenty of Grace, going to be the number 3 in the replay here. And I noted she has been working up here, so she's based here. And I'm curious, Plenty of Grace, nice little stakes runner in your barn. You're looking for something? I mean, you have like, the Della Rose coming up, the Boston Spy. You're looking at something like that?
Yeah, we're thinking it's either going to be the Della Rose, or we may ship her back out to Del Mar for the Yellow Ribbon.
Oh, okay.
But I like to see her here in the Della Rose going to Flat Mile. I think. You know, with the new, with the way that Jose is riding her, and you know the way she is has moved forward, I like to run out of her stall. You know, I would think that would help her a little bit. But you know, really, we'll just see how how the Della Rose looks, and you know, because that race, even though it's a non-winners of a sweepstake this year, those could come up very salty. You know, you don't think they may not be that you know tough, and then there's a lot of horses that you know could have won greatest stakes last year that just so happen to have one this year, and then it comes up a lot tougher than you think. So we'll see.
Story of Saratoga, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I got a good one. Then the entrance come out. Oh, 5 other people.
Right.
A turf runner. When I asked you to come on the show yesterday, you were checking in. Do I have turf work? Turf works are Fridays and Sundays, and I'm assuming with a horse like this, you'll go over. Folks who aren't familiar, the turf works all happen across the street at Oklahoma.
Yes, she's going to be working. When the meet starts, they change the turf work days. So, but she's going to be over there working tomorrow.
And again, you've already kind of alluded. They expanded that Oklahoma track, and everybody kind of has really over the years raved about the Oklahoma and the turf side over there. Great place to work horses.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
And also, I saw a quote from you. I think it was on Twitter, opening day maybe, or you said heaven on earth. So give us some impressions of, you know, and you've been coming here for a while now, Saratoga.
Yeah, no, I've been coming here for a while, and it's just great here. You know, the atmosphere is great. The horses seem to love it here. The barn area is more open, you know, so they're not enclosed, and it's just a good atmosphere, racing atmosphere. Everyone in town loves the races. You know, all the restaurants, everyone loves the horses, and it's just a real horse-friendly town. So it's great to come up here.
Yeah, and I always say, you mentioned it. And that's exactly what I say to people. It's outside the fences that make it so special, because you're downtown and people in the next table are like, yeah, here's how I'm playing in the exacta tomorrow. Where else do you run into that? And it's a lot of fun. And also, you win a race, and if the horse, like a Plenty of Grace, if shows up with an impressive performance, comes back, you get the crowd, I think, is into it. They're knowledgeable, and they can appreciate a big effort.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, they definitely do over here. Yeah, I mean, the crowds here are great, and even sometimes in claiming races, whenever the horses come by, they're always clapping, so it's just good to be in an atmosphere and environment like that.
It's also fun just to sit there and watch races with a big crowd like this, and you get one of those photo finishes, and then they play the replay, and the whole crowd is like, oh! It's fun. Yeah, no question about it. Not that they've been going my way there. I've been on the wrong end too many times at the meet. But as I say, you've been going great. Keep it up. Anything we should look for in the next few days from the barn?
I have one in today. I think she's live. She has a shot. She's 9 to 5 on the morning line. That's all I got for the weekend here. Okay. So we'll have to wait for next weekend.
All right. Very good. Rob, we appreciate the visit. And again, congratulations on the nice start. Again, not just the last few days, but going back to that short meet we had a few weeks ago. It's been a nice run 2024 up here at Saratoga. And again, you had the nice summer last year at Monmouth. We can look for your horses down there as well. And hopefully we'll look for Plenty of Grace up here. I don't blame you if you're looking out at Southern California as well, but she's a nice little stakes runner. So we wish you a lot of good luck going forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Rob Falcone, again, we'll be looking for his horses at the meet and beyond. We'll take a break. When we come back, Jenna Antonucci is in the house. We'll talk maybe a little Travers last year and more with Jenna. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow live from Saratoga, our Clare Court location on a beautiful Saratoga Saturday. As promised before the break, now joined by Jenna Antonucci. Jenna, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
And I always like to start with, again, we've had you on before. Other people maybe have heard the story, but I always like to start for maybe, it's Saratoga. We draw new people into the game. Just fill us in how you got into the game and how you transitioned to becoming a trainer.
Just had a lot of, obviously, equine exposure, grew up riding, and when I was a kid, way back when, it was just after only black and white TV, we trained a lot of thoroughbreds to be show horses. And so that was my initial exposure to the breed, and then having the opportunity to bring those on, it just kind of asked more questions of how and why when I got my hands on them, who they were. And that made me curious to learn how they were started and developed in this part of their careers, and got bit by the bug and loved how fast they learned and the speed of it all. And just, it just really compelled me to want to kind of go down that journey and not just jump over jumps.
So you did actually show horses and jump over jumps.
I did.
Now, I can't think of who I had in here just last week, and we're talking about the jump world. Mm-hmm. And I know now retired thoroughbreds, they'll have separate divisions and whatnot, sure, and they'll go jump. But whoever it was I had in said, actually, early on, thoroughbreds were big in the jump world, and then it kind of changed.
We had, when I was growing up, there was an entire division for non-thoroughbreds, because for all, whatever was a crossbreed or wasn't just a thoroughbred. So that, obviously has, faded out, and now it's role reversal. So yeah, growing up, it was non-thoroughbred division, and it was almost all thoroughbreds. All the classic pictures in that world are so many lovely thoroughbreds that are doing that job.
Yeah, I found that interesting. Yeah. And you mentioned the mental aspect. Do you see a difference with thoroughbreds and other breeds?
Absolutely. And I think that's probably the biggest misunderstanding with the thoroughbreds is they process and think so quickly, but how we get them fit as well. So sometimes in those worlds, they want to get them, maybe the edge off them or a little bit, or not know how to connect with them mentally. And so if you lunge a horse to try and get them tired, in our world, all you're doing is getting them more fit. And so that's the balance of just people learning how to retrain those to do that job without doing it that way.
Yeah. On the trainer side of things, as you became a trainer, did you work your way up, or were you working as an assistant or in other barns on the way up?
I've always said I'm a bit more organically grown, where everything I did was kind of driven out through the farm. I was doing a lot of layups and rehabs and bringing horses back along for other trainers. And so had the opportunity to come about it just really from a very organic point of view, and not take this person's program and make it my program. And I think there's been a lot of benefit to doing that for me. But I've been able to watch a lot of programs too. Obviously, training horses, you learn to be a very good observer. Horses don't speak, in our words. And so you're constantly observing how they get there. And so watching a lot of programs and being in Ocala for so many years, watching so many great horsemen bring along young horses and watching their programs.
And you are Florida based now, you would say, right?
I'm a Floridian, so, but we have horses year round in Florida now, and then we look like we're going to probably have more exposure in New York again.
Okay. And so what is your year like as far as Florida to Saratoga? What's in between, if anything?
We did a lot of Kentucky this year, and that was good, and we'll do some more of that this year. But we'll, New York, especially upstate's been big part of our schedule for as long as I can remember. We come up here pretty early, and more recently continue to bypass going downstate. And so we come up here, ship out of here and run, and horses love it up here. We enjoy it up here.
Well, I always like to get the impressions of Saratoga. I just said with Rob, Saratoga to me is so much fun because it's not just the racetrack, but downtown. You're walking along and people are talking about yesterday's double and whatnot. Yeah. And I always say the crowd is so knowledgeable and appreciative. So from a trainer perspective, your thoughts on Saratoga?
It's very horse friendly. I mean, the motto, horses, health, and history is what the Saratoga motto is, and there's a lot to that. And so when you're in an environment that is more embracing of what we do, it's obviously easier. But even just the weather, the horses really thrive on, and it's a little bit more casual, and I'm definitely very horse friendly, and that's always a lot of fun.
And where are you based on track?
We're on Oklahoma side. So
you like that?
I've been there forever, and yes, absolutely.
Talked with Rob a little bit and some of the other trainers I've had in. Talk a little bit about the Oklahoma. They widened it, what was last year, I think, but just gets raves, has for years and years. That there's the turf track over there as well.
And we actually train mostly on the main and stable on that side, but obviously for turf gallops and turf works and the occasional set you may not be able to squeeze in on the main, we will go over. And the tracks are pretty consistent to each other now, which I think is something as an industry we're focusing on, consistent footing and consistent surfaces. So the tracks mirror each other as much as possible.
You kind of alluded to it there, and I'll ask you, and then we'll move on to some of the runners. But HISA obviously has been a storyline through the last year, and certainly the impetus of having uniformity across the country has been great. The implementation's been a little rocky, but from a trainer perspective, your thoughts on HISA?
Well, we got government involved, and so sometimes that gets rocky. I think some of the misconceptions of it, I understand. I think probably right in line with our industry. We're not always the best communicators. And so I think it's people learning and understanding that HISA was implemented by the government for a reason. And sometimes when you implement things in that manner, it doesn't go smoothly. And HISA has owned their space and what hasn't been right and trying to fix things as fast as they can. And the entire objective of HISA is horse first, period. And that makes people uncomfortable. And sure, we don't want more government in our homes and in our barns, but we weren't able to do it ourselves. We weren't able to self-regulate ourselves and get some of the nefariousness out of our industry ourselves. So someone came in and did it for us, and we're going to have to work through, the bumps and the bruises along the way until we can get it to where it needs to be if we want to sustain what we do for the long haul.
Yeah, as I say, the great, kind of goals, the implementation has been a little rocky.
It has been.
But it was also, I think, partly it came into fruition so quickly that I think affected,
It did. It did. And again, when you get the Senate and Congress, listen, we got both sides of the aisle to agree on we need to make the horse happen first here. And if we're going to sustain this industry and how many people it reaches, not even just at the racetrack, from farms to layups to rehabs to breeding to sales, you think of the millions of people these horses touch. We were at a critical point, if we're being very honest with ourselves. So sure, we would have loved to see things smoother, but I'm not sure that kind of change is ever going to be smooth. Everyone always pushes back against change. And here we are, and we're making the best of it.
This industry, which is slow to embrace the new thing.
But
one of the things that folks have talked about that I think is great for horse safety, they're talking about the wearable technology for the horses and whatnot. So hopefully that'll
so much forward. Data to be had. And, I likened it earlier on to football, all the sensors and the things that are happening and the pads and the helmets for players and what concussion means and absorbing all of that. There's so much that's going to relate into what we do with these horses and how they carry themselves and, how much PSI absorbs into each leg and into the ground every time they hit the ground. So there's so much data to be had there that when we learn what to do with it, I think it's obviously going to have immeasurable upside for us.
Yeah, again, that technology side of things has me a little bit excited because I think if the racing industry can embrace it, I think that'll make a
and I definitely understand how people are, it makes people uncomfortable because we're doing something that's the unknown and we're used to being so in our barn, in our space. We got it. And so it's us trying to be graceful and patient through these transitions.
All right. As I said, we'll transition over now to some of your horses, present, past, and whatnot. But I wanted to pick up the win the other day from Tivy early in the meet. This is going back to July 14th, the starter allowance. Tivy's going to be the number 4 horse here, coming off a couple of second place finishes, 2 back at Churchill, last time at Belmont at Aqueduct, and then you come up to Saratoga and get the nice win. Nice horse, a couple of wins now, and 4 seconds and
so many
9 thirds.
So many seconds and thirds.
But broke through here, and I'm assuming off of this effort, and being this early in the meet, we maybe look for this one back.
Yeah, most likely. There's nothing in the second book really for him, so we can have a little bit of space in between this and the next one. The picture of consistency, obviously, on his numbers and everything else, it was just like, come on, buddy, can we finally get this one out of the way and move on? And I'm not sure if we lost our best friend, but all kidding aside, he's really been such a consistent horse for them, new people in the thoroughbred side of things. And so to pick up a horse like this last year, that's just been an absolute, picture of consistency. I couldn't be happier for them.
And owners always have to be excited about a win up at Saratoga.
New owners, their first career win back up here. They've had them. It was really cool and love that they were here for it. Amazing.
That's great. I asked you when you sat down about what in the first thing I'll ask you. Do you know where the name comes from?
I sure do.
Give it to us. What in the literal?
Literally, there's much sarcasm behind it. She's always had so much personality. She has kind of a white eye on the one side that looks like she's always saying what in the literal, and you can add the next word. So that is honestly where her name comes from, because she's always had that about her. She was a homebred that we brought along and raised, and so Katie Miranda.
We've got a replay of the Astoria here, which was a nice win in only her third career start. Had a couple of starts down at Keeneland, then comes up to Saratoga in that Belmont meet and wins the Astoria. And then, early in the traditional meet here, had that unfortunate, came out of the gate and went to her knees and lost to the jockey. But just give us a little update. Talk a little bit about the win, the Astoria, and follow up.
The Astoria, we did not expect to be on the front end, and she just kind of inherited it being in the one hole. She's always broke real sharp. And
as a trainer, you have to love this. Gutsy on the rail,
absolutely.
Gets past and comes back.
And that was the what in the literal, because that eyeball's on the right-hand side there. So she, to watch one that gritty that early on in her career, and she was closing so well at Keeneland that she was third that day, just a couple of jumps. She was past those two. So, I love the additional ground for her. She'd been training in her space like we were looking to see. But again, in that race, didn't expect her to be on the front end. She's quite fine to sit anywhere. So pleased with that. And she's come out of her little kerfuffle from the last race. And
one of many in there.
Yeah, that was I think lessons were learned there, and we move forward and learn. But we'll aim to the Adirondack for her and see how she puts it together there.
So she came out of that.
She's totally fine. Have chiropractor, make sure she didn't, throw a pole out of place or something. But yeah, she's great, thankfully.
Do you use a chiropractor a lot?
We do. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you use one person? I've
need two more.
But people are always saying, hey, you should. I've never done that.
No, my horses see it far more than I do. Unfortunately, that's usually how it works.
And certainly when we have you in here, we have to go back to last year. I pulled up the replay of the Travers Arcangelo. And I will admit, as a handicapper,
you missed it?
I was just because of the layup. I'm still
the layup word, my favorite.
I guess I'm still stuck in that. My old, it used to be a thing back in the day, not so much now. But you come off the win in the Belmont, and that layup, you come back here and win the Travers. Give us memories from last year.
I think for him, more than anything, it shut down the naysayers of was it a fluke? Mind you, the horse had now, after this Travers, he had won 4 in a row. Yeah. And so, it wasn't a fluke, but, it was easy to overlook the maiden race that people wanted to dismiss how fast that mile was for him. And then, the Peter Pan was, he did what Literal did, battled it back down the stretch. It was like, all right, good boy, you're figuring that out. And then the Belmont happened. And then, for him to come back in this spot. But I think also, referencing back to some of the HISA things, I think we're going to start seeing horses space out a little bit more, and giving these horses a little more time in between. And they're not getting all of that, therapeutic help that they may have been getting previously. So for us, people were just looking at our program so intently that they had never looked before. It's not unusual for me to do things like that with horses, or go race to race and do a big happy gallop in between. And so I think that's, for me, once a horse is fit, my job is to try and stay out of their way. I don't need to keep drilling them and keep putting them down. Like, we're fit, we're there. And so that was the plan with him. And John Everett was very involved with how we were getting them. And he's like, do you feel you can keep them fit from one to the other? I said, 100% we can. And so that was how and why.
And again, it was a tremendous training performance. And
thank you.
As you say, 4 in a row goes from the maiden special, Peter Pan, Belmont Stakes, and Travers.
Yep.
And I also had to pull up what is one of the favorite racing videos. I was going to say last year, maybe of all time. Yeah, we had to. It was you watching the horse come down the stretch.
If I had realized what it would be after the fact, I may not. Well, I cheer them all this way. What the Literal was the same thing.
I love that because I cheer them all that way
I do, and literally, like they were watching with What in the Literal, and listen, we put so much into this. This team put so much into it. And Cornelia, who rides What in the Literal, she was going crazy for the Astoria as well. But, I think when you're in the moment, you're just watching your horse win, and you're watching it all come together. The significance
and it's the Belmont,
of it.
And the historical significance.
That wasn't there during that. And that's the thing, we're just, I heard they wanted to frame the story with the David and the Goliath aspect of it, this and that. And for me, it just wasn't ever that. We were there, we were good enough, and we wanted to run and we wanted to win, period. And I'm not good about all the fanfare stuff and all the flowers that get put around it all. It was, you get laser focused. Any trainer does, male, female. You're there. You're putting them in the gate. If it's a 12-5 or a grade 1, you want to win. And so to see them not coming, deep stretch, you're freaking out because you're getting the W. And it was like screaming for the wire because it's like, how long can we keep holding him off? But that horse is I hope he passes on his grit and determination and his quality as an athlete. I'm very excited to see what that is going to look like.
Like I say, that video, because as a handicapper, I've been the same.
For different reasons.
In front of mine, absolutely. But then once you had a chance to reflect, did the historical perspective kind of have some?
It took some time. Yeah. And I've been so grateful for the opportunities we've been able to speak to young people and to girls and to children, and to teach people and to expose people to what we do is so important. And we get a little stuck inside the fences here. And so to have that opportunity, because people feel I'm more approachable, and to hear what it's meant for women has been, as a gift. And that was something that you could have never imagined. And I never put any thought into that prior. We were focused on winning a race. It happened to be that race. And I didn't realize it was the first Triple Crown win for any female. I did not know that. I knew about the Belmont aspect of it. So some of those things have come in later, and it's been a heck of a journey. And I'm, again, proud to be able to talk about what we do and what this industry is to people.
Are you participating in the Women's Summit up here?
I am.
Very good.
On the panel.
We'll have to promo that a little
Appreciate
bit.
that.
I also heard yesterday that you were the MC at the trivia night.
We had a blast. I had a blast.
I got to get to that.
I had a blast, and I guess, we had a lot of fun. And I told Brian questions were like next level. I was like, geez, goodness, this was serious. This wasn't like patty cake, trivia. There wasn't like good for you. Like, you had to know your stuff. But that was cool.
No gimmies.
No gimmies. The only gimme was the Arcangelo question. There was one team that got it wrong.
I was going to say, I was told that there was somebody who missed the whip.
It's fine. It's fine.
Jen, appreciate the visit, and looking forward to the rest of the meet. We'll root you along, certainly. But again, last year with Arcangelo was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Expected what's in the literal a little bit later in the
We're
week,
making some fun 2-year-olds, so looking forward to it.
Anybody we should be watching on the 2-year-old?
You'll know. You know how to read the form.
Very good. Jenna Antonucci, appreciate it. As I say, good luck.
Thanks.
All right, we'll take a break. He's in the house, Pat McKenna from the New York Racing Association. We'll get the thoughts from NYRA opening week or so of the meet and beyond. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. As promised before the break, we're joined now by Pat McKenna from the New York Racing Association. Pat, good morning.
Morning.
And I didn't write down your exact title. What is it?
It's Vice President for Communications.
That's what I thought it was. But and we talk about the communications office every time you come in here because it's Saratoga. You guys are running around not just during the 40 days, but leading into the 40 days, getting ready for the meet. But this year, talk a little bit about the communications department because you had bonus Saratoga this year, which I'm sure added to the entire workload leading into Saratoga.
Yeah, without a doubt. We had Marietti up here for the better part of a month leading into the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. So that was obviously a new wrinkle. It was a really intense, 2 weeks, obviously culminating in a wonderful Belmont Stakes and honestly a really successful event that I think exceeded our expectations. And that's saying something considering the build-up, the anticipation over the course of basically a year. And credit to the local community up here who obviously showed up, the planning throughout the months leading up to that, the concert on Wednesday night to see 15,000 or so crazy people downtown. It was a really amazing weekend. And I think one of the more memorable and exciting weekends in the history of this venue.
Yeah, the concert was nuts. If people weren't down there, it was a lot of fun.
It was.
And there were wall to wall on Broad stage in the middle of Broadway, wall to wall for probably 2 blocks up the street. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there was no school on Friday.
There was no school on Friday.
You gotta love that.
It's a Belmont holiday.
You gotta love that. That really shows the community is involved. And I've said it now for a while. You guys had to be thrilled because it wasn't just a great weekend here, but it was the culmination of what I thought 2024 was a great Triple Crown season at all 3 of the venues, not just the 3-year-old races, but there was great stakes races and good results at Churchill, at Pimlico, and then we put the exclamation point on it up here.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself talking about, the Triple Crown, racing's biggest events here in Saratoga pretty often to a more mainstream audience. And, the Triple Crown continues to be just an enormously successful and important series, obviously. But this year, coming on the heels of 2023, that was particularly challenging for all 3 legs. Yeah. Really great to kind of turn the page. It feels like the narrative is shifting, that the attention is firmly sort of back on the athletes in competition, the people who come out and support these events in record-breaking numbers year after year. And, whether it's here at Saratoga or throughout the Triple Crown, the Breeders' Cup, racing's biggest events continue to be enormously successful.
And since we're talking Belmont, I'll ask you this here. Game plan at this point is next year up here as well with Belmont at Saratoga.
Yep, without a doubt.
Okay, and might as well ask you also for the update on where we are at Belmont and the rehab going on down there as well.
Yeah, sure. You're right. It's a good reminder that the reason we're up here for the Belmont is because we're transforming Belmont Park Downstate into what will be a world-class destination. The building is now completely down. That will probably be surprising to people if you're driving along Hempstead Turnpike, if you're watching, that progress continued to take shape. 4 new racetracks in the middle, 4 new tunnels to access the infield. Probably is the biggest racetrack construction project in history, full stop.
Oh.
I can't come up with any kind of parallel because not only are we building an entirely new grandstand, but 4 new racetracks, a new synthetic surface, accessing the 45-acre infield for the first time. That will allow that venue to be flexible for the biggest events, but also really energetic and lively on a day-to-day basis. And that's what the building reflects, is the evolution of a sport that at one point needed to be an in-person experience. That has changed. So to have a building that'll have, 7,500, 8,000 people, but a facility that'll be able to accommodate more than 50,000 people for the first time since UBS arrived. It's a really exciting prospect, and it is a credit to New York State, the legislature, Governor Hochul, first and foremost, for supporting horse racing in a way that no administration has.
And I'm assuming, because it was up, I'm assuming still if you go to the Belmont portion of the NYRA website, folks can look at the artist renderings, correct?
Yep.
And the building is really nice. Same people who did Royal Ascot, is that right? Or one of the venues over
there? Populous is the design architect. They've done just about every arena, ballpark that you can imagine here in the last 10, 15 years. They are a global architecture firm. They work with Churchill Downs, with the Breeders' Cup, Keeneland on their massive new building down there. So the future of horse racing in New York State, selfishly, is incredibly bright, and it's great to be a part of it.
Building looks great, but they're also, as you alluded to, add the infield in, but more green space in back as well.
Yep.
Right?
By reducing, if you think about it, we're reducing a building that was 1.2 million square feet down to 275,000 square feet, which is the right size. All of that space will be returned as picnic space, as green space. When you hear Dave O'Rourke, NYRA CEO, talk about it, he recognizes that there's so many lessons that we can learn from this backyard, which really rejuvenated Saratoga and makes it what it is today. So it's a very different market, obviously, on the border of Queens and Nassau County, not in upstate New York, but at the same time, it will be a venue that is centered around open green space, picnic areas, family friendly, at a really low cost.
I'm waiting for the first Belmont Stakes Day where we get the video inside the gate at Belmont and the race for the picnic tables on it.
There you go. I like it. By the way, those picnic tables were completely gone yesterday. At 7:00 on a Friday.
No, it's and the TV tent has been moved over. That opens up some rail space on the paddock for folks, and that's always great. That the paddock rail is always filled up. I put together a little video just of some of the upgrades that have been made recently, some of the traditional things and some of the upgrades. But you can talk about some of those upgrades that have really changed the facility and brought it into the 21st century. Again, the 1863 Club upgraded food counters. The Jim Dandy Bar is new this year, and that has opened up that bottom level of the clubhouse. The stretch area has become very popular in an area of the clubhouse that wasn't typically used other than maybe 3 days a year. The paddock suite has become popular. And of course, traditionally, as we've mentioned already, the backyard. But just talk about over the past few years, the upgrades and bringing this facility into the 21st century.
Sure. NYRA's invested more than $110 million since 2017 on exactly that, modernizing this facility in a variety of ways, but with the priority always being on preserving the history and traditions of Saratoga while providing fans with the modern amenities that they expect from a world-class venue. The 1863 Club, first and foremost. As you said, the stretch, which was a really, sometimes it still gets overlooked, but to be able to take an underutilized section of the grandstand and turn it into the space that it is. If viewers at home, go check that out. It's a really cool spot. And then, beyond that, the spa verandas that are now a place where parties of 30, 40, 50 can find a home on a race day. So it's, these are investments in the future of Saratoga Race Course so that this is a facility that can continue to grow and thrive for decades ahead.
Clubhouse Stern has the spot where folks can pull in a car and grab a picnic table. That was a nice addition. Yeah, and the verandas got added too. For a corporate kind of an outing, those are nice because it's also, you're right up at the rail, but you're on the far turn where you can really get a unique look at a race. And I think that's nice. But yeah, the stretch, I know a lot of people who have become very happy with the stretch, which, going back in the day, if you're standing on the backside, you look over and those last three sections might be empty, again, for maybe 3 or 4 days a year otherwise. And so to put an upgraded facility in there was a great idea.
Yeah, without a doubt. And still the same mix of outside vendors, the food trucks, the, everything that has come to sort of grow and evolve organically over time. But, on top of these upgraded hospitality and amenities, it's, I think the facility's never looked better. It's never felt more energetic, at least in my experience growing up here as a kid.
Yeah. Again, you love the tradition of Saratoga, but there's no denying the 1863 is better than that tent we had sitting there for years. The paddock suite, I think people were concerned about that. I have now done a handicapping seminar for the folks at Bonaventure the past couple of years up there. That's a great venue, and you get to look out over the paddock. I think people really appreciate that. So there have been some really nice changes.
And there's a new restaurant next to Shake Shack, which has been a space that I think, Union Square has tried a number of different things. This year it's a sandwich concept called Paparoso. So if you're over there in the Shake Shack line, might be long.
I had the meatball, but I am touting the cherry Italian ice.
All right.
From Papa Rocco. So
that sounds good.
I have already taken advantage. Also wanted to mention, and I think we have a little video from yesterday. It was very popular, the tumbler giveaway.
Okay.
But we also have 3 more giveaways coming up: baseball jersey, trucker hat, and windbreaker. But the tumbler was clearly very, very popular yesterday.
On trend, I think they would say. Yes, it was, and a really good slate of giveaways this year.
Yeah.
The baseball hat, we haven't done it in a while. Last year we had that bucket hat, but a baseball cap, a baseball jersey, the tumbler, and I'm forgetting
the windbreaker.
The windbreaker.
The baseball jersey is going to be up. And I said this at the beginning of the meet. There are a couple in there that I'm not thrilled with, but I think other people will be. And the baseball jersey doesn't get to me, but I think a lot of people are going to jump on that. I'm not big on trucker hats, but a lot of people are. I think both of those will be knockout. They're just on the windbreaker on September 1st, the windbreaker.
Yeah, I think we always try to do one for the final giveaway that's sort of shifting into fall. Something long-sleeved, a windbreaker for those chilly fall nights.
Yeah, very good. And so nice schedule of giveaways again this year. They kicked off very, very nicely yesterday. I also wanted to mention, and some morning, I think before we go on the air, I will go over early and grab a little video and maybe make a little segment for it. Breakfast at the track, always very popular. But adding to breakfast at the track the last couple of years, this is the 3rd year, the Breakfast and Breeding Farm Tour. And at the end of the season last year, I had Jim and Tina Bond in here.
Okay.
And they were amazed. They were thrilled with the turnout because their farm is on the tour. And they said it was great. We had, 70 people coming in and kind of looking at the breeding facility and whatnot. And they were thrilled with it. And so people should keep that in mind. Come over for breakfast, but you can also take the barn tour as well, which has been a nice addition over there.
Yeah, breakfast, a breeding farm, and then an afternoon back here at the races. It's a great deal. It's been really, really popular and has also grown basically on its own. So, yeah, thanks to Jim and Tina, to the Maltinos at Sugar Plum and Old Tavern.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the schedule here. Wednesdays at Song Hill, Thursdays and Fridays at Old Tavern, Saturday and Sunday at Sugar Plum Farm. So, again, it's a nice – you can just come and enjoy the breakfast and the workouts as well. And I'll tout that. I've done that in years past. It's a nice breakfast buffet. But the farm tour is a nice addition as well. Lots of great things coming up. Obviously, the big stakes races, but we have Lustgarten Day, which is always nice. The Hall of Fame Day. You get some of the Hall of Famers over with autographs as well. So some big events coming up as we progress through the meet. We're, a week and a half in about, but there is still plenty of action to go.
And Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons family will be here today celebrating what would have been the 150th birthday of Sonny Jim, who won, I think, 13 Triple Crown races, if memory serves. I think 3 Derbies, 4 Preaknesses, and 6 Belmonts, believe it or not.
He was a legend.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Talk a little bit about also the first week and a half, just your thoughts on where we have come, since more traditional Saratoga as opposed to that little Belmont at Saratoga meet.
Yes. Listen, I think the energy was maybe slightly different the first day, but I think that
everybody's like, hey, we were just here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did have that, kind of had that feeling, but I think that had much more to do with a really early start, July 11th. Next year it'll be July 10th. It's about as early as you can do it. July 4th holiday, barely in the rearview mirror, incredibly hot, frankly uncomfortable weather. So all of that kind of combined to maybe, if you're here in person, maybe a little different feeling than a traditional opening day in the absence of the Belmont 4-day meet. But I feel like after a few days, and especially once the weather turned Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, really felt like the meet's ramping up, that, the rhythm and the momentum builds on itself. And here we are, coaching club this afternoon, and then on to the Gym Dandy, and the rest it really sort of takes off from there. So, listen, once again, credit to the best fans in racing. We can talk on and on about the facility in Saratoga and all the improvements and upgrades, but really it's about the fans and what they bring to the table every single day when we're up here. So it's great to be back, great to be here. It'll be over before you know it. So if you're watching at home, come on out.
I'll let you toss in as well, because you're obviously in great communication. The media up here is a big part of it too. I think the television stations, all the newspapers, they're all into, it is our pro sport here.
It was without a doubt. Yep. And it was noticeable this year. Love everyone downstate, love the New York media market. It's enormous. But to come up here for the Belmont and have the general level of racing knowledge that exists in upstate New York, in contrast to folks downstate who are essentially parachuting in for a week or 3 days or even just one day, was refreshing. It was great to see. And yes, again, the press box up here, best turf riders, and we're, so much of what we do is obviously amplified and in the press, and it's great to be able to work with professionals.
Yeah, and again, hats off to you and Keith McCalmont, Marietti, and for folks who don't take advantage, you can go to the NYRA website and pick up the press notes that you guys put out, and extensive pretty much every day, previews and reviews and visits to the backstretch. So there's great information available there through your office as well. So, and I before we let you go, I always like to tout, because they're up here all 40 days. I mentioned the TV facility has moved over to the other side of the paddock, but the Fox show, Saratoga Live, continues again this year. And that's been a great addition, not just for NYRA, but to be nationally systems all around the country with the Fox show. I think it helps the game overall.
100%. And to shine a light on Saratoga on this. I mean, this is one of the original vacation towns for a reason, because they do it right up here. And to have that megaphone now for, throughout the year, more than 1,000 hours on national television, starting in 2016 with just Saratoga Live, the support we get, the investment from Fox Sports is it's unmatched in the game, and it's a credit to them for recognizing the reach, the breadth, the importance of horse racing here at Saratoga.
Yeah, and as they say, it doesn't just benefit New York racing. You put that out there for people, and the great racing we have up here benefits the entire sport. Pat, as always, appreciate the visit. I know you're very busy during the meet, so we appreciate you taking some time to come over here. Maybe we'll plug you in towards the end of the meet as well, but so far, so good. Keep it up.
Yeah, and thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. And I thank you guys for always hosting us. I always like to take that opportunity as well, because we're here on the backstretch, and so we appreciate NYRA allowing us here right in front of Clear Court. Randy Moss, when I had him in a few years ago from NBC, he said, the best set in all of television.
It really is.
The horses working out.
Phenomenal.
Pat, appreciate it.
Thanks, Seth.
All right, we'll wrap it up here on Racing Across America for this Saturday morning. Again, great day of racing. Big stakes day up here and a beautiful day up here. So if you're thinking about coming up, this is really maybe the best day so far with the humidity and sunny day. Nice couple of stakes races highlighted by the Coaching Club American Oaks. Don't forget Del Mar opens today, Haskell Day down at Monmouth. So a lot of great action. If you're going to go around to the Clubhouse Racebook, the King of the Hill contest continues this week. Bounty bet today here at Saratoga. It's the late pick five. Don't forget the final pick five. Play with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the bounty. And tomorrow, my pick three bankroll. If you'd like to get on the team, you can take your shot by going to capitalotb.com and click on the promotions link. Look for the bankroll, pick three bankroll. I'll have $150 to play up here at Saratoga on the pick three tomorrow on behalf of the bankroll team. So put your name in, see if you can get on the team. All right, that catches us up. Plenty of great action on this Saturday and beyond. And part of the beyond is tomorrow. 9 a.m. handicapper support. Steve Bick back in the house at 10 a.m. for Loose on the Lead. So looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing you then.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
And brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports, Thoroughbred Wager and Strategies.
Big news in the Pick Six. Nobody hit it